Welcome back to my channel. So my name is Katelyn. If you didn't know, I do a bunch of bookish videos. Today's video I have been wanting to do for a little bit. I just got back from my huge trip, so we're here, we're ready to talk about my book. So it's gonna be about my May and my June wrap up. I think my average probably is like 6, but since it's the summertime, I'm reading a lot more. May was my biggest reading month yet. And it's also helped with my 24-hour readathon. So without further ado, we're gonna get right into it and just start talking about some books. So let's get to it. We're gonna start with May. So this is May's pile. It is a pretty big pile. In May, I had 10 books. I had 1 DNF and I had, I think, 2 Kindle books. Cannot tell, it is all romance except I think 2 dystopian books, but I think it was actually like 3 Kindle books. I forget. So one of the huge issues with this month is that I read a lot, and a lot of them were for videos that were going to come out, but I had lost footage. A lot of these books were going to be in videos and it did not work out, which sucks because I honestly had a really good reading month in May. The first book that I had read in May was Love Wager. Both Hallie and Jack haven't really found the person that is the one, and so they decide to kind of be each other's wingmans. They'll go out on dates, and if the dates won't work out, they meet up and they kind of just talk about it. But they both really just can't find that true person until obviously they have each other right there. Did not like this book. The miscommunication truly got me. It was really ridiculous how much they were like, ugh, Jack doesn't want me or Hallie doesn't want me. And I'm like, guys, are we blind? Are we not looking at the context clues? Like, what's happening here? There was so much miscommunication in this. I have not thought about this book once. It was very hard for me to finish it, to be honest. I just didn't have a great time with it. And by the end, I was just so annoyed because they just kept pushing each other off, saying like, oh, he doesn't like me, blah, 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 blah. But then I have this very strong connection. I gave this a 3 stars, but looking back on it now, I'd probably give it like a 2.5 or something. I still enjoyed the story, but it got very repetitive and the miscommunication, I just hate it. The next book that I had finished is Happy Place by Emily Henry. I truly tried to finish a bunch of Emily Henry books. I was really behind because I had just found her later and I'd only really read, I think, 2 books. Yeah, only 2 books. So this was the next one I read. I really did like this one. It was just so sweet, but yet depressing. I think this one is honestly one of my favorites. It's not a 5-star, but it is definitely a 4-star. I think back to it a bunch. They just loved each other so much. They're pretty much the right person, wrong time, and they were very sure about it, but there was some miscommunication. I really enjoyed how much they loved each other because you could see it. It just sucked that they didn't put it together, I guess. My thing as well with this book is that it just took forever for them to just talk about it. We kept going back and forth, and I was like, can we just get on with it? And then we finally did, and it was kind of just like a, oh, you know? So it just sucked that they had to go through this because obviously they love each other. But one of the biggest reasons too is because I was so depressed in this book. I started like, it just was very depressing. The following book is another Emily Henry book. This is Book Lovers, and honestly, I was loving this book. Like, their connection together, they're kind of enemies to lovers, or like, what's the word? I guess enemies and lovers, yeah, whatever. I loved it. I thought they were so cute together. I was giggling, kicking my feet. But then with Nora, she was really taking me off because she was very controlling with her younger sister. And I totally understand the trauma and like the family issues, but she just would not let her go. It really took away from the romance. I was really wanting more from Charlie and Nora, and just nothing was coming with it. It was just a lot of little things that was happening, but they were like, I love each other. And I'm like, yeah, so 3 stars, mostly because Nora really frustrated me and it irritated me. And then we barely saw their relationship together, but I still enjoyed it. I still liked her settings, but it was just missing some stuff. This time I was all caught up on Emily Henry, and this was gonna be in a video. It was gonna be like reading Emily Henry for a week, and I had finished both these books pretty quick, and then I lost it all. This one was Charlie Fortune's new release. It came up on my birthday and I wanted to read this as soon as it came out. I read it on my trip. I almost finished this book in a sitting. I had gotten to like 150 or something. I was about halfway. I was eating this up. This book was fantastic. If there's one thing I love about Carly Fortune is her real loves. Like all her love stories are whenever something happens, like if they have to break up or they take time away from each other, it's for serious issues and serious reasons, and they give each other time, and it's not like a rom-com-y type vibe. And I like that about her stories, and I also love her settings. Even if you don't like the romance, it's her vibes and her setting. And Every Summer After, I absolutely loved the vibes. I didn't like Meet Me at the Lake as much. That one wasn't my favorite. This book, chef's kiss. I loved it. This is Brother's Best Friend. I truly loved it. It was so good. Felix and Lucy were so sweet together. Lucy was so sweet and so genuine towards Felix. The energy that they gave each other and how much they loved each other. Multiple times where like Lucy was just kind of looking at him. I loved what they had, and what they went through was very mature. Like their third act breakup was for serious reason, and I liked it, and it was deserved. If they hadn't done that, I wouldn't have liked the book, but Lucy needed it, and I think they both needed it. At the end though, their ending was so sweet. In the adult life, we saw them together, but I wish that there was more of them. So yeah, I gave this one a 4 stars. Next book I had read was Funny Stories by Emily Henry. This was her new release. I liked this book, but it wasn't like my favorite. The reason I didn't like it as much in the beginning was because it was during a 24-hour readathon, and it just felt like I was taking forever to read this book, but I was also so extremely tired. I loved this book so much. It really dwelled into like family issues, and they really had to work through their family issues and how like trauma can get into some relationships. They both really had to trust each other, and I loved this idea of this book. If you didn't know, pretty much the idea is Daphne and Miles were dating Petra and Peter, and Peter actually ditches Daphne at their bachelorette party or something like that, and flies to go get married to Petra, who is Miles's girlfriend. But now Daphne and Miles are left exes. I really liked this book. It was just very cute, very adorable. Quotes in this was so sweet. I don't think I annotated this, but I wish I did. I don't really have anything to say about it. I can't really remember anything that really stood out. I gave this a 4.25, but I think I would give it like a 4 stars, a 3.5, I think. It's not really anything meaningful. I really haven't really thought about this book. I feel like Emily Henry's books to me like aren't outstanding, but I like her books. Okay, this starts my addiction. Heartstopper. I always had seen these books, and my little sister and my twin had watched the show and they said they absolutely loved it, but I told myself like I wanted to read the books before watching the show. I don't understand why I didn't read it beforehand. I really don't, because this book was so good. The writing, oh my gosh, everything about it was just so cute. I think about them like every single day. They're just so awkward, so adorable, so sweet to each other, so genuine. If you want something that will just get you like love struck, this is it. I loved this book so much. That's it. Literally it. Nick is so protective of Charlie, and I love it, but also I'm so ready for Charlie to be protective over Nick. This is a big reason why I'm getting through my Goodreads goal. They're just so easy to sit down and read, and it doesn't take a lot of brain power. Sometimes I need that with books, like just something easy to fly by, and like I wish that this was like an actual book so that I could just read everything, all their little thoughts, all their dreams, and everything. I love this book so much. I can't wait to watch the show. I gave this one, I gave this a 4.5. I really enjoyed this. I don't know if I should have a different rating for graphic novels or what, so I did just rate it like a 4.25, but I still really liked this. Like these are just so enjoyable, and so much fun to read. The third book that I finished in the readathon was Shatter Me, and this is the first book in the Shatter Me series. I ate this up. In the beginning, it was kind of just very simple. Once we got to the end, so much death had happened that I was like, I'm so excited for the rest of the series. Like there's so much that's there that I'm ready to see where it goes. This book was so easy to get through too. It was very simple. There wasn't anything crazy or anything, but where it ended, I was like, this series is gonna turn out well. I just gave it a 3.75. Nothing special, nothing crazy, but it really set us up for all the rest of the books. Yay! I'm definitely gonna try to read Unravel soon because I feel like I'm in like a book slump and I need something different to read. I've read so much romance, it's ridiculous. The next book I had read is the second book to the Heartstopper series. I also love the colors like she picks for the books are so pretty. This book we delved into Nick's sexuality because Nick had always thought he was straight, and then here comes Charlie and he's He's just very confused, and the way that Charlie just holds his hand through it, I was like, everyone who's going through that type of transition or that confusion truly deserves someone like Charlie. He's just so patient as well. I really think in the next book he's going to be so protective of Nick, and he's going to be wanting to make sure that Nick is as comfortable as possible. Love them to pieces. I love their like secrecy kind of to this too, but them just starting into a relationship. Like, they are so awkward in this cute way that I love it. I cannot get out of this. Like, I'm stuck in this universe. For this, I gave this a 4.7 up. I literally started tearing up at the end, I think. Oh yeah, I started tearing up at the end. I won't spoil it, but like, I just felt so happy. I'm gonna get to the next book, but I'm just kind of trying to pace myself out because there's only like 5, I think, right now. I know there's another one coming out, I think. I hope. The feeling of like this being over one day is gonna make me sad. I can't wait to read the next book. That's all I can say right now. And then we're getting on to the last 2 books. So those ones I don't have with me right now, but the next book that I had finished is Destroy Me, which is the 1.5 novella. It's the first novella. Warren's story more. He is like the bad guy in the book, and we get to see just more depth with him and see what he really thinks of everything that's happening. This book truly shows that there's so much more to him and how much he's controlled by his father. I think he's gonna have a lot of redemption. I don't really think he's the enemy. I am so ready for it. Warren's gonna have a redemption and something's gonna be happening. Something is brewing right now, but my heart has a sweet spot for Warren right now, especially the last bit when he like meets the dog. I was like, the puppy. I can't do it. If you wanted me on Warren's side, this is how you get me. So I'm ready. This one I just gave it 3 stars. I enjoyed it. So I'm ready though. And now I want to read Unravel Me. So see, this is like getting me ready for books. Coming to the one book that I DNF'd. The one book that I DNF'd is When in Rome. I don't know if my reading style changed or what, but I didn't really like When in Rome. I didn't care. Like, I was there for the story, but when things were happening, I was just kind of like, okay. And I honestly think it was putting me in a slump, so that's why I stopped reading it. So this is like a soft DNF, so no rating for this. I didn't really want to read it, if I'm being honest. Like, I had read Practice Make Perfect, and when I heard that When in Rome was the first book, I was kind of like, I don't really need to, like, I don't care. I don't know if I'll ever get back to this book. It's just one that I wasn't really interested to read. So those are all the books that I had read in May. This is my best month yet of reading. Last year I had read like a lot the second half of the year, but like this was the first year that I had read 10 books in a month. It was super crazy. I mean, one was a novella, 2 were graphic novels, and 1 was a DNF, but like they're still reading. They're still counting. So I'm proud of myself, and I had a lot of fun reading all of this. Yeah, that's that. I'm excited to have a better month hopefully one day, or maybe close to this, because I'm stuck right now. So now we're going to get into June, which was a very small month for me. So I had only read 5 books. It was like the middle of the month, and I had only read 1 book. I was like, what? I was like, great. Okay, spectacular. That makes sense. But I honestly think I'm getting into a reading slump because all I've read is romance. I think I need to have some difference. Let's just get into the 5 books. Very simple, very easy, and let's talk about them. Okay, so the first book that I read is Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. This is the second book in the STEM series. I actually really enjoyed this one. I had heard a lot of people not really like this one, and so I was kind of iffy about reading it. I really enjoyed this. So this one is about Bee and Levi, and they both work at NASA. Marie and Levi have to co-lead on this NASA project that is dealing with helmets. They kind of have like not an enemies, but really it was just miscommunication, and that's why it wasn't a 5-star, because Bee was really frustrating with that. She was just kind of mean towards Levi, saying like, he doesn't like me, like da 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 da. Every man is the same, and da 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 da. Levi was like the sweetest cutie pie ever. I loved him so much. He rescued Bee whenever she didn't even ask. He was there for her. I just had a fun time. This story stuck with me. This one really did. Sometimes with books, if I'm in a good part of my life, like I remember them better, and I just remember having a really good time with. This one was just like a 4-star. I loved it. It was sweet and cute. Oh, I had a lot of quotes. Levi loved her. Like loved her. So I loved this. I'm sad that this is like technically I think the last book, but I'm done with like the STEM series other than the novellas, and I really like the series. Book. But it's the Romance Book Club. I had such a fun time with this. You had like this one part especially was like the family dynamic that Thea and Gavin had with their little girls. The settings was guys were babysitting as Thea and her sister went out. Girls went upstairs, but they were all like dressed like fairy princesses. One of them was like drying their nails off, and they were all all just like with makeup and like tutus on, and these are like baseball dudes, like big strong dudes, and they're like sitting around a circle talking about courting the countess. It was just genuine, and this was like not toxic masculinity. They had so much fun with it. I had much fun with it, and so sweet. You're not perfect, but we're going to rebuild you, and we are going to show you that women deserve better, and she deserves better, and you're gonna give it to her. And I loved it so much. It was so sweet, so genuine. Thea definitely was giving him a hard time at times, but honestly, I understand why. But also, I loved Gavin so much. Like, you knew that he didn't mean it like that. He just was kind of stuck. That being said, I did not like, I don't even remember her sister's name. I think it was like Leah, maybe? I don't know. I absolutely hated Thea's sister. She was so mean and rude, always trying to destroy Thea's relationship because Thea wasn't there. Well, of course, she's got her own family. Really do not like her as a person. She was just so mean and rude, and the next book is her book, and I'm not ready. Just saying that I don't even remember her name should show you enough that I don't like her. And I don't like how she thinks that she had a saying in Thea and Gavin's relationship. Like, she was like in it. It was disgusting and gross, and I hate her. Other than that too, their third act breakup was very stupid, but was also because of Thea's sister, so I just didn't like it. It was just very annoying, and I hate that Thea keeps giving her sister room to come back. It just really ticks me off because she just wasn't a nice person. This one I gave a 4.75. I really liked it. It's hot in here, and it's like the sun's going down, and I'm like, the next book that I had finished is Abby Hernandez's Just for the Summer. This is her newest book. Like, we were taking our time with this book, and we would like every now and just stop and just talk about where we were, what quotes stood out to us, and we just had a genuinely good time. Thinking back to it, I gave it a 5 stars, but I think I'm gonna give it a 4 stars. It didn't have me exactly like in the emotional bit. Like, I was attached, but I wasn't really attached. I don't know, I just haven't really thought about this book, but I did really enjoy it. It just wasn't anything that I like will remember, I guess. I still really enjoyed Justin and Emma though. I mean, they just were there for one another, and they were just very mature, and they listened to each other. Family issues too that we had to go through, and seeing their character development and how they dealt with it. I wished better for Emma because the things that happened at the end, my heart was literally like ripped out. Definitely read the first 2 books in I think it's like the Part of Your World in those books, and I think that if I had read those books before this one, this would have been a 5-star. The next book that we had read is Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. Hugo just really is there for Wallace and trying to help him move over because Wallace is not the nicest person. He was kind of like a Scrooge in his life, and he's realizing now that he's more than that. This book was so much more than just life and death. Like, this had so many talks about life and death. I hate talking about death. It absolutely scares me to death. This book kind of calmed me in some ways and made me not feel like I was alone. I mean, obviously death isn't like a lonely thing. I mean, everyone's gonna go through it, but it definitely was missing some things. So it was Hugo and Wallace that kind of had like a relationship together, but I didn't see it. It wasn't really there, but I wanted more. I almost wish this was longer, that we had seen more alone times with each other. I really enjoyed this book with the humor. Wallace and the grandpa were amazing. There's this one bit where the psychic came into the tea shop. Wallace was like using the Ouija board with her and was saying like, you killed me, and she's like, what? And they were just messing with her, and it was just so funny. So this one I did give only like a 3-star. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. It just was missing some things, but I did really just enjoy it. Like, it's definitely like a cozy fantasy. I think I just wished a little bit more. And then the last book that I had finished in June, literally like the last week or so, was Powerful by Lauren Roberts. I had started this in the 24-hour readathon. I just never finished it. This one is pretty much about a character and power list that you just want to see more of if you want to. You don't have to read it if you want to read Powerless and then Reckless, but it's just there as like a, hey, if you want to learn more about this character. Wish I liked this story more. Honestly, thinking about Powerless, it's not my favorite anymore. It has a lot of repetition and very like TikTok writing, I guess. Same with this book. I just didn't like it. Honestly, I did not have a fun time with it. At the end, I was sad. Don't get me wrong, I was. Like, I am in the story, you know? Something about her writing I don't like. She has a lot of repetition. She talks about sticky buns like every single second, and I was like, can we stop? And obviously this is a novella, so it's not gonna get into it, and there's not gonna be a lot of depth, but I just didn't care about the character as much, and honestly in the first book I didn't love them as much as everyone else did, so that's why I didn't like this book. I would still definitely try it. I would recommend any book because, I mean, every book is gonna be different for everyone. But yeah, I just didn't like it as much. I am gonna get Reckless and see if I like that one. I don't don't know. It's not my favorite series. In all, I gave this one a 3 stars, but I think this might be a 2.5. I just didn't like it as much. It just wasn't anything crazy. That's sad. In all, this was June. I read 5 books and I read 2 fantasy and 3 romances. So we had like a good relaxing month. So that was my little wrap up. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Please give it a like and hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you know every single time I post. I will see you guys in my next video. And yeah, I hope you guys have a good July reading. I'll see you guys in July. So bye! It is July. I don't know why I said that. Okay.